Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show. I wasn't planning on doing another haul video, but I went to the flea market today, even though the weather was crap, and there was a couple of vendors there, and I got some cool stuff, and also at the local record store, I picked up some cool things. So, what the hell, I'll do a quick haul video, and hopefully you'll enjoy some of the new purchases that I got today. Cheap vinyl and cheap CDs. If you're not a subscriber, please hit subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Help my channel to grow. Been doing this for about 2 years, and what am I, a little over 500, 600 subscribers. So would love for it to grow, so when people do searches, I'd actually pop up. All right, let's dig right into it. So I thought this was a cool purchase. I actually got this only for $1, and at the flea market. Sorry for the glare. This is Bright Midnight. That's the official bootleg record label that the Doors estate has been putting out, these archive Doors releases. This is a really good one, I think. Live in America, this is like a best of limited edition. It was originally only available online through the Doors website, and they linked up with Elektra and they actually put it out. And there it is, and you could see it's kind of like a Doors best of all previously unreleased live stuff, all in excellent quality. So I think this is a great purchase. I'm excited about it, and the fact that I got it at the flea market for $1 helps. That was pretty cool. I found this at the flea market for $1 too, and I've never seen this before. And this is right up my alley. This is almost like what you would find in like some Northern Soul collections. This is called the Redbird Girls. Very first time in true stereo, and these are girl groups from 1964 to 1966. It's got 20 tracks on the Real Gone Music label, and you know, some of them you might recognize. The Boy from New York City, there's the original version. You know that, thinking about the boys from New York City. Who did that? Manhattan Transfer, maybe? I don't know. There's the original version of that. Go Now. You know that maybe from the original Moody Blues with Denny Lane, but you probably know it from Wings Over America when Denny Lane was in the band. There's the original version from Bessie Banks. I Can't Let Go. Linda Ronstadt did a great version of that on the Mad Love album. Just a ton of great tracks. Ellie Greenwich, you'll see there is performing as well. And then what you don't see listed, there's another 10 unlisted tracks of them in the studio. This is a really cool collection. If you like you know, the Phil Spector sound, you know, lush, all over orchestrated, so much layered on the tracks. That's what this sounds like with the girl groups, but it's in stereo. And as good as a lot of people think mono is, and I like mono, stereo, man, Phil Spector, this stuff in stereo sounds great because it's widescreen, and you could hear all the layers, and you hear things on these that you would not hear on the mono mix because it's just too dense. Really cool. The Redbird Girls. Paid $1 for that one. I figure this is great. I don't consider myself a Deadhead, even though I have every single Grateful Dead studio record and a ton of live ones. And this, of course, is when they did one of their endless final performances. Don't get me started. The Dead and their various incarnations since the death of Jerry Garcia, they've taken what the Who've done and even gone further, you know. We're never going to play again. We're never going to play again. But we'll change the name to the Dead or this or the Further or whatever, and we'll keep playing. Don't get me started. Anyway, this was supposed to be their final of all time. This was back in 2015 when they played those 3 shows at Soldier Field in Chicago. Fairly well. I thought it was a great idea because, of course, they had Trey Anastasia from Fish, who basically is the band that kind of took over from the Dead, even though they don't sound like the Dead. They, you know, with their whole massive following and all of that kind of stuff. I thought it was a great idea, and this is the very best of 2 CD collection of that final Dead performance. And of course, because it was the final, it was like the biggest 3 shows of all time by any band. But of course, they've been playing ever since under a different name. But there you go, great set list. This has got Trey Anastasia. Of course, they since replaced him with John Mayer and have been touring endlessly since then. But cool disc, and I think I paid $3 for that, so good find at the flea market. Of course, I should say, you know, when Jerry Garcia was alive, I'll never forget it, he did a great quote, and he got some shit when they started putting out the Grateful Dead ties and the shirts and the paintings, and the Cherry Garcia line, and somebody said, you know, people are accusing the Dead of selling out, and Jerry Garcia said it was great. He goes, man, I was always willing to sell out. Nobody ever just came to me for the opportunity, but I would have done it. That was straight from Jerry Garcia's mouth. So I guess there it is. Let's keep going. I'm a big fan of progressive rock, and of course there's the really big progressive rocks, bands, but there's a ton of really good, what you would call B-level and C-level progressive rock bands that, not because they're not as good, they're great, they're just not as well known. One of them is Camel, and I have just like 3 Camel albums. I'm kind of waiting for Madfish to release a great giant box set. They did this Wishbone Ash one. Now they got a Caravan one. That's another really excellent band. But maybe they'll do one in Camel. This is a really nice, from Decca Records and Anthology, 7385 Lunar C. And this is a great collection of 26 tracks through most of their classic albums, all their early classic albums through 76. Great stuff. And this is just a nice, concise collection with a really nice booklet that you get in these CDs. Just beautiful. So this was a great find. This one actually, for me, paid decent money for it. This was $7.99, but they had 30% off, so I bought it. Very cool. Last but not least of the CDs, I never had this, believe it or not. This is the complete $1 Million Quartet. You know, that infamous jam session back in, when was it, December of '56? And of course it was Elvis and Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash. Being loosey-goosey in the studio, and apparently this is like the complete stuff, 47 tracks. Interestingly, when you look at the, it's listed on the Elvis Presley, even though it's Elvis, I guess, you know, Elvis was the biggest one. Pretty cool, the $1 Million Quartet. I paid $1 for this today. And then I found some pretty good vinyl. Always been a fan of what I would call regional bands. I once did a video on Michael Stanley Band, which was a great Midwestern band. Where were they from? St. Louis? No, they head east to St. Louis. Michael Stanley, you know, but I remember REO Speedwagon. I was a fan of REO Speedwagon before they broke big. They were a huge Midwestern band, I think from Illinois. Styx, I think, was from Chicago. Styx had a ton of records before they broke nationally with The Grand Illusion. Another band that never made it nationally, but had a pretty big following in the Midwest, was a band called Head East. This is a classic album cover from the 70s. Head East live, double vinyl, gatefold, and they're a good band. They did, originally they did a version of Since You've Been Gone, written by, what the hell is this? Russ Ballard from Argent. Of course, became a huge hit with Rainbow, but they did it long before Head East. But they're a good band. Kind of completely forgotten. But in the 70s, Flat as a Pancake was one of their big albums, Getting Lucky, and this was their double live album. I never had this album. So $276 for their double vinyl, Head East Live. Another one, and I already had this. I had this as a 3 CD mini box set, which was pretty cool. But then I got rid of it for some reason, and I kind of missed it. $1 Billion Babies is what happened with the rest of the Alice Cooper band after Alice Cooper dumped them and went solo with Welcome to My Nightmare. So what you see here is the Alice Cooper band, Neil Smith, Michael Bruce, Dennis Dunaway, and a couple of other guys, and they released this album, Battle Axe, and they were hoping to make it really big. They actually did a tour with a boxing ring, and that was on that 3 CD set that I used to have with a live concert that wasn't very well recorded. Anyway, this is the album that they had released called Battle Axe, and this is a white label promo copy. I thought that would be kind of fun to have. I used to have it again, but nice to have back again. It's pretty good. Kind of feel bad for these guys. It's like, you know, they're like with Alice Cooper, and they're like, well, we wrote the songs too. It wasn't all Vincent Furnier, of course, who became Alice Cooper by name. Alice Cooper was originally a band. So those poor guys, they did that one album at Stiff, and that was the end of it. But remember this band, Black Oak, Arkansas? I found this, and this is the original gatefold. Black Oak, Arkansas was one of the biggest Southern rock bands in the United States. Huge band with Jim Dandy. And if you ever look at pictures of Jim Dandy on stage, you're going to think it's David Lee Roth, because David Lee Roth definitely took his on-stage shtick from Jim Dandy. And Ruby Starr was in the band as well. Their big hit at the time was Jim Dandy to the rescue, Jim Dandy with the rescue, which is on this album. But they were a pretty big band on Atlantic, and the cool thing about this find is it still had the poster of Black Oak, Arkansas. So look at that. Came with the album. That's pretty sweet. Really wild partying band. There's Jim Dandy. The long blonde hair and the tight outfit that doesn't leave anything to your imagination. And, yep, big influence for sure on David Lee Roth. The only thing about Jim Dandy, the singer, is he might have the worst voice in the history of popular rock and roll. I mean, imagine a gruff voice and then take it and sand it down with sandpaper. That's what Jim Dandy sounds like. You talking about an acquired taste? Man, he's an acquired taste. Not an easy listen. But if you get used to it, it's fun 70s balls to the wall rock and roll. And then last but not least, I found this. It'll shine when it shines. The Ozark Mountain Daredevils. They had a really big hit. I don't know if it was #1, but it was definitely top 5 with Jackie Blue, if you remember. And the Ozark Mountain Daredevils was a country rock band from the mid-70s. Very much country-ish. Even more country-ish than like the Eagles and Firefall and those kind of bands. But this is a nice album. It's got the lyric booklet in there. And they're a good band. I have like a best of CD, and I really enjoy it when I'm in the mood for that. The Ozark Mountain Daredevil, the album with Jackie Blue. So that's what I got today. Hope you think it's kind of cool. Again, please hit subscribe. Would greatly appreciate it. Check out my other videos. I do 90% is music, but every once in a while I'll do movie reviews and things like that. But classic rock and roll, that's me. And over 5,000 physical albums. I am a physical guy. No downloading ever. So that's about it. Again, thanks for tuning in. Most importantly, stay healthy. And I'll see you on my next video, hopefully.